Young man, I came here to thank you, but also to discuss your question from earlier. If you hadn't told me about your life, if you hadn't run into that fight, I would have been a worthless bystander watching from the crowd. I'm not done. You told me you didn't have a power, so when I saw this timid, quirkless boy try to save a life, it inspired me to act too. There are stories about every hero. Their bodies moved before they had a chance to think, almost on their own.
That's my cost. Oh. Sorry, different channel. This different video, but peep my Warhammer costume. Anyways, as of the moment of me recording this, it's August 5th, and today marks the official end to My Hero Academia's like 10-year journey. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of sad. Like, part of me wishes this series went on for like just a little bit longer. Even talking about it just kind of gets me like emotional, because My Hero Academia kind of impacted me in a way that I'm just gonna get straight into. Like, without My Hero Academia, I don't think I would be the person I am today, if I'm gonna be honest, because to me, My Hero is one of those series that just feels generational. Like, I don't care if you agree or not, but to me, it really feels like a generational type of story. It's a story you can only really experience once in your life. Like, you know how there's kids who grew up with Dragon Ball, there's kids who grew up with Naruto, there's kids who grew up with One Piece, and they're like adults now. Yeah, that was pretty much me with My Hero Academia. I remember watching it when it first aired back in 2016. I was like I was in high school. I was a sophomore. I was like 16 at the time. I was super big into like comic books, DC Comics, Marvel comic. And when I first found out about My Hero Academia, I'm like, this is pretty cool. Something that's like not American, something that's not DC or Marvel. It really got me invested, and from then on, it just kind of like changed my outlook on anime. It like gravitated me into this new type of genre. It really introduced me into the shonen, into the romance, into the seinen series. Like, it really got me invested heavily into anime, because without My Hero Academia, I don't think I would ever be into like anime conventions, anime cosplay as much as I am today. Because to me, My Hero Academia impacted me in a way that, like, if it wasn't for that series, I don't think I would be the person who I am today, if I'm gonna be honest, because it changed my life. Like, for better or for worse, it like changed who I am. Like, it made me into the person I am. Hell, I have a Midoriya tattoo right here on my arm. Like, this series really means a lot to me, and it probably means a lot to some of you guys who grew up reading it, who grew up watching it from day one. Like, I started the series at 16. The series ended when I was 25. I'm currently 25, and yes, I'm happy. Like, I'm happy the way it ended. I can say I'm pretty happy to like have experienced this story once in my life, and I really like that. Like, I really like that. And I know some people have had issues with the ending, mostly because they're not really satisfied. They don't feel like this was a satisfying conclusion. But in my honest opinion, I like the ending. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. I'm gonna be honest, I know not too many people are really satisfied with the conclusion of My Hero Academia. They find the ending kind of weak. They say, oh, Deku went from like being a superhero to getting a 9-to-5 job. That's so lame, blah blah blah. I've seen all the things online, people clowning on Deku. Like, in my opinion, I don't think we read the same story. The fact that some of these people think, oh, Midoriya could have ended up like this, the story should have gone this, blah blah blah. It's the same way people were complaining about the Attack on Titan ending. Yeah, that ending may have been controversial, but I liked that ending. That ending felt a bit more realistic. Like, getting off topic from My Hero Academia, the ending for Attack on Titan honestly felt realistic, because no matter how much peace there is, at a certain point, that peace is going to end, and then war is going to restart, and then you get the same war never changes. But despite the AOT ending, the My Hero Academia ending, I feel like it ended off in a really high note, in my honest opinion. Deku basically got what he wanted at the end of the day, because in the ending chapter, it pretty much states that it's been like almost 10 years since the battle with Shigaraki. He became one of the greatest heroes, along with the entirety of Class 1A. He lost the embers of All for One, or One for, I always get that confused. and he became a teacher because he's pretty much powerless. He doesn't really know what to do, so he wanted to pass on his knowledge into a different generation. And I really like that story because it's pretty much what Midoriya would do. It kind of reminds me a lot of Peter Parker and his journey, because if you guys aren't familiar, Horikoshi was really inspired by Spider-Man. He really likes Marvel. Like, peep this illustration, like, from Marvel Heroes by Horikoshi. Like, he's a big fan of Marvel comics as well as Star Wars. There's a lot of references towards some of those works in this series, especially with Midoriya. He shares similar, like, traits with Peter Parker, who's in the Marvel Universe regarded as one of the greatest, if not the greatest hero ever, because he's selfless. He does what he needs to, not because people ask him to, not because he wants a reward, not because he wants the fame and the glory, but because that's the right thing to do. If he can lend a helping hand to someone who needs it, then that's what a hero ultimately is. A hero is someone who can inspire. A hero is someone who can help you despite who you are. Even if you're bad, even if you've done terrible things, they can help you at the end of the day. And that's pretty much Peter Parker's whole thing as a hero. He does things because with great power comes great responsibility. And the fact that people are like saying Deku / Midoriya is not a really good hero, he's such a mid hero, they don't really understand his character, because I don't know, it's like some people didn't even bother to read the entire series. Deku never wanted to be the superhero. He just wanted to be a hero. He wanted to be someone who can lend a helping hand. Yeah, he got to fight villains. Yeah, that was cool enough, but he wanted to be someone to inspire. He wanted to change the society of heroes from like going to fame, hero worship. He wanted to be someone who can inspire, who can bring hope and joy, similar to how All Might did. All Might didn't really care for the fame or anything like that. He did it because he wanted to be someone to inspire others, and that's what Midoriya is doing in the ending. Yeah, he became a teacher. He fulfilled this goal of being a superhero. He's now teaching a new generation of heroes, passing on his knowledge. Yeah, everyone he's met has like goals as a superhero, and they don't really have time to meet because like after high school, like, I'm gonna be honest, from my experience, when people graduate, it's really hard to like meet up with them because people have different lives. Some people get married, some people have kids, some people get different jobs, some people travel. Like, it's like that. This ending's pretty realistic. And think about it like this: the entirety of My Hero Academia took place within the span of 1 to 2 years, which is like freshman to sophomore. Like, these kids are just that, they're kids, and there's a time skip to when they're adults, when they're in their like 20s, early 20s. So like, of course things are gonna change completely drastically, and like, yeah, people aren't ever gonna be satisfied with the ending that they want because they were picturing something specific in their minds, and that's cool and all, you can picture, but the way that this ending left off, I think it ended off pretty well. Deku becomes happy, and at the end of the chapter, he ultimately gets a new Iron Man type of suit with the abilities of his previous power, as well as the abilities from like Shigaraki during that battle. So like, he essentially becomes the Iron Man / Batman of the My Hero Academia world, and with his suit, he's still strong. Like, he's a character, he retains the ability, he retains the knowledge. Just because he lost the embers doesn't mean he doesn't know how to fight, doesn't know how to use power. Yeah, he can still kick ass, because at the end of the day, he's the greatest. He became one of the greatest heroes ever. He became even higher than All Might. Bakugo moved on to the better things. Uraraka started a agency that helps and promotes other people. Ida became a good person. Like, all the other heroes, all the other classmates of his became heroes. They did such wonderful things, and I think that's a really good way to end off the story. Yeah, there may not have been any character deaths, which kind of irritated me. If there's one thing I would have changed, I would have liked to see at least some of the characters die, especially Bakugo, because I think that would have made a good impactful moment for Midoriya's character. Even All Might should have died, as well as Gran Torino. I have no idea how he's still alive, but yeah, I genuinely like the ending of My Hero Academia. It was bittersweet, it was nice, it wrapped everything up really nicely. Yeah, people are always going to complain. It doesn't really matter how you write one thing, people are always going to picture one way or another. So to me, I think this is a great way to end off My Hero Academia. Does it leave the possibility to leave it open-ended for a sequel? Yeah, absolutely. You could have a Shippuden type of ending for My Hero Academia. Is it necessary? No. In my opinion, I think this series ended off on a pretty high note. 10 years of My Hero Academia. Would it be cool to get like a mini series of these characters to see what they're doing now? Yeah, that would be pretty nice to see. But overall, I like the ending of My Hero Academia, and the fact that it's went on for like 10 years is really nice. Like, I grew up with the series, and it's just honestly one of my favorite series ever. People can hate on it, people can say stuff about it. Yeah, the fan base may be a bit weird at times, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty good story nonetheless. Like, it's pretty much about Midoriya's journey, about being a hero. If you guys like Peter Parker, if you guys like Spider-Man, this is pretty much like the archetype of Midoriya. He follows a similar trope, he follows a similar characteristic. And if you want a good Spider-Man story, I would recommend Spider-Man Life Story. That's pretty sad. It's a really good Spider-Man story. Like, go read that. Hell, go read Ultimate Spider-Man, because to me, that's one of the greatest like Spider-Man runs ever. And I think that story heavily influenced the work of Horikoshi when he was writing My Hero Academia. I can't really confirm that or not, but I do see a lot of similarities. If you guys have read Ultimate Spider-Man, then you can pretty much confirm that, yeah, you can see the similarities with, because Peter Parker in that story is pretty much 15, 16 years old. He does hero things, bad things happen to him, yada yada. There's a big war. It's really similar. But overall, when I was reading this chapter, I'm not gonna lie, it got me emotional. I did shed a tear or two while reading it, because like I said, it's the final chapter. I grew up with the series, and it just makes me sad that the series is ending. I liked it. It was bittersweet. People can hate on it, but that's just my thoughts on the story of My Hero Academia. It was good. It had its highs and lows, but overall, it's a pretty positive story, as well as the artwork is some of the best. I think Horikoshi draws some of the best like art and most of manga. Like, it's a really good series. I really liked it. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on the My Hero Academia ending. I truly think it was a generational type of story. But that being said, how do you guys feel about the ending? Would you guys want a sequel? Personally, I'm happy with how it ended. So that being said, I'll catch you guys on my next one.